get less.
Like in PE,
You can see where they play in the team.
we started to realise things that should
Gender pay gap, the LGBTQ
discrimination.
Really doing intros and everything. So, what's your thoughts?
I feel like a lot of women, they're just discriminated in football.
Yeah.
Especially you as like an insider.
Yeah, I feel just from a young age playing football and like seeing like the boys wearing, they have the good kits, and in primary school we had to wear the kits that the boys wore, but they were always too big for us because obviously they didn't fit, a growing girl's body. It was just really accommodating. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember like in PE in like primary school, we'd
Yeah.
always have bibs and they were always too big for us.
Exactly, yeah. I have a thing here that says £84 million goes into one male football player.
Right.
And only, I think it's 42.6 million
Yeah.
for 1,693 players
Which
in
is
women's football.
horrible.
Wait, I think
It's
that
so much lower for
Yeah.
so many more women players. So
1,000 players, like over 1,000 players, get less than a male footballer does.
So bad. I think that's less than 1 million.
Exactly.
For each of them.
Like, and then you think about it, the time, the effort, everything goes into it.
And it's part of their lives, but it's part of their lives in like I don't get paid for this. I do it as a hobby, and then I do something else because
It's like
it's not sufficient for them.
when I tell people I play football, it's always like, oh
give
right,
you
okay,
looks.
yeah. It's like, and then if a boy goes, what team do you support? All of this, and then I was to say I supported one team, they'd be like, oh. I think me and my sister especially, we always look at the women's before the men's. I think maybe it's just because we're girls ourselves.
They're kind of like role models for you.
Exactly, yeah, definitely.
And like even with younger teams, you can see like little boys, they get treated and they get more opportunities than the little girls when
Exactly.
they play football.
Exactly.
And at such a young age, they shouldn't be already dividing them.
Yeah, I think also people assume that women are worse. Like, in general, like, I have a thing here, and I'll pop it up here, but
Yeah.
you can see where they play in the team, and they're all playing, there's a minor difference to where they play and how they play, and the statistics for that is,
Yeah.
little. I think, men do have a bigger physique. They do, probably
doesn't-
have stronger legs, but that doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't always mean that they will do better as well.
Exactly, yeah. And I think men's football, I think, is so popular, and I think also like brings the women's down a bit too much.
I think at this point, male, just football players in general, they don't do it for like the sport and the hobby that they have. It might be like a part of it, but it's mostly for the money and the fame.
I think women have so much passion for the game that they put so much into it, and that's why they keep winning. Like,
Yeah.
I think men, they love the game. They want to, play the game. They love the game since they were kids and
Yeah.
stuff. But they have not as much motivation anymore because they've got that money. They've got that contract. They know where they're going in life. They've got, maybe 3 or 4 houses. They've got 4 cars. And the women might have that money, but they also might not. And I think that's the thing. If you're starting up in football, for women, it's so much harder, which I think we need to change.
Yeah. I don't understand why people just think that automatically male football is quote unquote better than women's when it's really not. If you like compare a 5-minute gameplay to men's to women's, you see that there's a lot more action on the women's field.
Exactly. I agree with that completely. I'm going to watch the Euros, women's
Right.
Euros, in July. And I think, thinking back to when I've watched the men's Euros, I think it's going to be so much better. The atmosphere.
And it's fans that actually like want to see it.
Exactly.
To see
And I think that also makes the players want to play more. And maybe
encourages
that's
them.
why the male football players, they get more because there's more fans and stuff.
there is.
They've come out with a new kit recently and it's amazing. It's got
Yeah.
like, the lion and everything, and this white kit, but it's got really nice patterns and stuff. I think this is what the ladies needed. And yeah, I think this is what they need to kind of get their recognition that this is them.
Right, and it also gives them like a bit of more confidence because they're not an oversized kids. They have more freedom when moving.
Yeah, the kits, the shorts aren't as long, and these shorts that they've come out with for the women's team, you know, they're short. You've got a little slit in, so you're not tripping up and everything.
Yeah,
and then also they're accessible to most people. You know, they're not really expensive like some kits are. Yes, men, you know, they've had they have so much history in football with everything to do with that, and I think we just need that little bit of recognition for us to feel I don't know. Yeah, influenced. Yeah, they get more like, you know, they want to do it, and I think that's what we need in football as well.
Yeah, I feel like the now football players, like, they don't realise that they're inspirations for the younger generations.
Yeah.
And even if they do, they don't act on it. They need to kind of stand up for themselves more. The 2018 FIFA World Cup and then the 2019 FIFA Women's World Cup, you can see that the prize money was much smaller for the Women's World Cup.
And that's amazing to think about. Well, not amazing in a good way.
Yeah, it's like, you can't wrap your head around it.
Per player, they got £4 million.
Like, our generation, I feel like, is one of the first generations to have an impact on the whole world. We've started to realise things that should be more inclusive, should be more just overall put together.
I think in women's football, I think especially, there was a captain in West Ham, I think, and she tells her story about how she came out and how that affected her and how that affected her game, how that affected the fans and everything. I think that's so real.
It's such a passionate thing to do, and it's very inspiring. But this has only just recently come about, like a year or two ago.
Yeah.
And before that, like, everyone who was like gay or bi or whatever, people didn't respect them as much.
I think in general, over everything we talked about today, I think it comes down to respecting everyone equally.
Yeah.
And I think that's the main thing here. The gender pay gap, you know, the LGBTQ
discrimination.
I think it all comes down to the fact that we need to respect everyone. Yes.
But it's still not talked about.
Yeah.
One person will make a thing and it will be like viral for like a day or two, and then it will just die down and the topic's gone.
Yeah. I think
it needs to stay afloat.
I think you need to respect everyone equally.
Right.
No matter what. Maybe you don't agree with what they're going through or what they're doing, but just respecting their choices. I think that is such a big deal.
Yeah. So I think we should go and ask the public.
I think we should as well.
About
see what they think.
Yeah.
Do you know who this is?
Yeah. Ronaldo.
Yeah, Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah, it's Ronaldo.
Okay, do you know who this is?
No.
Yeah, Lucy Bronze.
Okay.
No.
My first question is, what do you think about football in general?
I think it's pointless because all they're doing is literally kicking a ball into a net and they're getting paid however much millions per year just to kick a football. Like, anyone can necessarily do that.
My opinion on football is, it's a thing that I hold very close to my heart because I grew up playing football and my life revolves around football really, which sounds quite sad, but it shouldn't be.
Football, I love football. It's the best sport ever. I enjoy watching it, but I think I might enjoy playing it a bit more just because you get that experience. And people say it's just like kicking a ball. It's just some idiots kicking a ball around a field, but it's really not that. There is a lot of skill and technique involved in playing.
And what's your opinion on women's football?
My honest opinion is rubbish. It is, like, that's my honest, I don't find women's football as good as men's because I feel like the aggression in men's football is more entertaining than in females, and I feel like the reason why men may get paid more is because they are able to entertain the audience, but females, they slack with things that they do.
I feel like it's on the rise. I feel like now it's got a wider recognition. People start watching it more. People raise awareness to it, and I feel like a few years ago, no one really cared about women's football, and I feel like nowadays people more care about it. And I'm seeing women playing in the men's first team's grounds, which I think is a big positive.
Women's football is very underrated, and because I know women don't get paid as much as men, and so say you've got women in the Premier League, like playing professionally, they still have to have another job to be able to like afford to live properly. Because they don't get paid as much, whereas men, their full-time job is football. Whereas I know a lot of England women football players, they have to like some of them, they have office jobs as well. Like it's the gap between it isn't nice.